Welcome to the Dawn Jarvis Show with Dawn Jarvis, the diverse nurse. And in this podcast, we will be talking about healthcare, self-care, diversity, careers, and well-being from a Black woman's perspective. We're really happy that you're here. So if you're ready, let's get on with the show.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Dawn Jarvis Show. I'm Dawn Jarvis and I'm the diverse nurse. In this podcast, I talk to and about busy leaders, professionals and business owners who are part of my diverse nurse network, learning about who they are, what they do and why they do it, and how they prioritize their own health and well-being and stay focused, positive and productive. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by the wonderful Michelle Raymond. I met Michelle on Clubhouse and I've done lots of work with her actually. We have a coaching relationship, and today we're going to learn about how entrepreneurs can attract lucrative corporate contracts. We're going to learn about the importance of relationships, how you have to manage the risk, and also how you have to manage your reputation. I'm really looking forward to this. Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much. I'm very well. Thank you.
Good to see you. Really looking forward to hearing some more about you. I know lots about you, but it's going to be really good to do it on the podcast and sort of get it out there on the internet. So I'm going to introduce you. Michelle is a HR specialist, trainer, visibility strategist, certified Master NLP Practitioner, and an award-winning TEDx speaker on a mission to make the invisible visible. She is the CEO and founder of the People's Partner, a HR and coaching consultancy that provides inclusive training solutions. Michelle is a champion of diversity and equity, and her team of experts support organizations in building inclusive cultures that impact on every important element of the organization. Michelle, this is very impressive stuff.
It sounds very impressive.
It sounds fantastic. And I know it's true as well. So, it's good. So let's hear all about you. How did you get to be this Wonder Woman with a team of experts, helping with diversity inclusion in corporate organizations and sort of training other people and coaching other people? How did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, well, like most people, it's a journey, right? And we never wake up like this.
No.
And it's a reminder to lots of people that you have to go through these stages of growth, stages of development. It's a journey. And I started off actually working in HR in-house for a property company. I was there for about 12 years doing HR, really enjoyed it, but I knew there was more to me than this. And I just knew that I had way too much more to offer than just to go into work day in, day out, doing the same thing. And when people started to ask me questions around HR, it's one of the things I could respond to them quickly because I just absorbed the information. I absorbed employment law. And I think my big turning point was when I went to an event in central London, very, very, very large event, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. And they were talking about who here are entrepreneurs who've started a business and they want to come on stage and, just talk about their business. And, I sat there perfectly fine because I was fully employed and happy, regular income, my benefits. I had it all. I had a team of people. I had an office space. So I was good. I didn't need to try and get in this rat race of being an employee. But my husband at the time pushed my arm up, and out of, I don't know, there was 400 or 500 people there. I was selected to come on stage. And so I went on the stage and I thought, oh my God, I can't say no now. This time I don't have a business. And I got on stage and I remember the gentleman saying, so tell us more about your business. So I thought, okay, let's not perjure myself here. So I didn't say I didn't have a business, but what I did is I started talking about human resource and why it's important for small businesses, growing businesses to have some presence of a HR presence. And I was speaking about that. I was talking about the different employment legislations, how you can make it work for you and how it can work against you, and policies and procedures. When I got off stage, I had lots of people rushing to me saying, Michelle, God, we want to hear more about you. We want to know more about what you do. We need your help. How can you help us? And it was that same night, I thought, oh my God, I could do this. There's a market for it. I can do this.
Definitely.
It just dropped in my spirit to call this business the people's partner, as I like to partner with people. And that very week, I got my first client. I think I charged them only like £50, and I was like going through all their paperwork. But when you're new, you're just happy to get the
happy
work.
to get work. You're just like, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, and then it's just gone on like that ever since. And then I could see that if I kept doing it this way, I could make something of it. So I had no business plan. I didn't have no business mentor. I had nothing. All I just had is my expertise, and there was a market ready to buy. That's all I had. And so obviously I might have done a number of things wrong, but I just done it. And I'm one of those people, just do it. And, say sorry afterwards. And I'm here 5 years later and still running that same business I did from it was a cafe in central London.
That's amazing. Do you know what? That is really good. That's a really good origin story. Should do a film. Who should play you, Michelle? Beyonce, maybe.
Oprah.
No, man. You need. Yeah. Well, maybe Will Smith's wife. What's her name? Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. She could play you, and we'll see what her British accent's like. I love that story. I love the fact that you embraced your opportunity. So I'm a great one for that, and I know there's lots of people that are working in corporate. They're doing their job. They're doing it really, really well, but they could do more. And someone just needs to say, you could do this. And the bit I like the most is that people came up to you afterwards and goes, we need what you need. We need you. And you was like, okay, so that was the offer. So you almost did your validation on your core concept in about 30 seconds, because there was a demand for what you were saying about the importance of HR. And I think people need to talk about what they do and how it helps people, because that's what you did, didn't you? Really, what you do and how it helps people. And then people think, oh yeah, I need that, that'd be great. So that's your business model. So you don't really need a plan then, do you? You just need to refine your offers, and sort of like really hearing about that your first offers were where you were worth more than that. And I think we all do that, don't we? Because we're so excited about that. So now I know, so you've been doing it 5 years. You're fabulous. I've heard you speak. I've been in your courses, and I know that you're sort of like now helping entrepreneurs get corporate contracts, because we both worked in corporate, so we know how that works, don't we? And it's really interesting that you almost end up working, I know this happened to me, you end up working with other business owners because you can see a need there, can't you, Michelle? What do you think about that?
Yeah, totally. And I think we're going to go on to it. That's what I talk about, the relationship building.
Yeah.
And from this, if I look at it from this perspective, it's making sure that I'm building relationship with other small businesses, because I will know, or I hear about opportunities that I can't serve, but I know somebody else who has an expertise in something. And I believe, and I am an avid fan of sending the elevator back down. I don't want to just be at the top by myself. I'm thinking, who else can share? It's about being abundant, right?
Absolutely.
So there's enough for everyone. And what can I do to make sure that everybody gets a piece of the pie? So this is a way that I do it. So I get access to training, engagement, speaking, facilitation, workshops, lunch and learns. I get that exposure, but I know that there's other people who can do this just as good. How can I leave the door open so that they come in? So that's where, getting to know other businesses so that they can take full advantage of these opportunities.
Yeah, Absolutely. And I'm a living testament of Michelle's great work around that and building a relationship. And we've both gotten interested in networking. And I think we both fell into that because of making relationships. And that's been very successful for both of our businesses. So sort of like doubling down on the sort of relationships, the networking, the meeting people. So I get the impression that you saw a need, having met more businesses, that you could see, because of your talent management and the stuff you've done in HR. So you could see, and I can see, you meet the people and think, oh God, they'd be brilliant for this. And so you sort of like have a network of people around you that you can access for the opportunity. So, but tell me a bit about how you sort of do that and how you build those relationships.
Yeah, for me, relationships is the bedrock of business. It's the bedrock of business. And there's a saying I say all the time. Listen, I don't even know if I even created this, but I definitely implement it, is the more hands you shake, the more money you make.
For real? Yeah, trust me, that's true. True. You
have to be in conversations to make the cash.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm talking about. And you don't have to have like an ulterior motive. Just be a person who's interested in others. Just talk to people, see where they're at. How can you support them? No, I'm not saying that you should be giving advice to everybody. Just being present and fully present. And I think that's where we have the difference between networking and building relationships. Networking, we could be talking, but on my right side, I can see someone else. And I'm talking to you, and then I'm waving at someone else. We're not really being present. When we're building relationships now, it's just me and you. Just me and you, where I'm getting to understand what makes you tick, what makes you happy, what makes you sad, really understanding the nuances of, and all the facets of who you are, who Dawn is. And that's what building relationships is all about. And how we see that in the business world is, once again, being present, but just listening to people and being a great listener. I tell you, I network or build relationships every day. And my thing is, who's new on my list today? Who is new? Today, I did some training for a company, a FTSE 250 company. And then one of the directors there contacted me on LinkedIn, and I just reached back out to her and I said, thank you for being part of the training today. Tell me more about your role. I'm really interested to find out, and how you're going to implement what we talked this morning. How are you going to take that? What's the barriers? So we're keeping the conversation alive, keeping it going. One thing about building relationships is building rapport. There's got to be some sort of commonality, and it doesn't matter how minuscule, it doesn't matter how small it is, there has to be a level. So our level of rapport is that we just done the training. I've been in a toilet with a woman, and I've built a relationship with her to the point that she brought me over to Dubai 6 months later to speak, literally because we were wearing the same color dress, blue dress. She was on a blue dress, and I said, oh, I love your blue dress. And this is what it is. It's just being you, being authentically you, and just building relationships. And this is what I'm trying to do more of, and especially in the corporate space, is how can I be the bridge between the corporates and the entrepreneurs? I want to be the bridge so that they can build their own relationships. I don't always have to be in it. I can just open the door by email communication. I don't need to be in your business. I just need to be the bridge, because I probably know something about them that you don't know. But once I let you know, you build your own relationships and you make it blossom, and then you could probably do business later. You can collaborate, or you can do intros. And I always say that's the essence of business. We're in a H to H business, although we like to call it B2B. It's H to H all the time, with commodities, supplies, products, offers. It's still human interaction. Still,
absolutely. And it's really, and we may have spoken about this before actually, but just for the benefit of the audience, it's sort of like, I know when I make my buying decisions, there has to be an investment with the other person that you're making those buying decisions, or so I'm not doing it. So it has to be, that person has to be interested in me, and to make me interested in them. as well, and and that really works in in careers, in business, in your life. That's that works really well. I just wanted to talk to you because I suppose we're quite outgoing people. We would meet people in the toilet and have and have a conversation with them, but some people struggle, don't they struggle to describe what they do. They struggle to sort of like make those initial connections. Is there any advice that you would have for somebody who think, I'd really love to do that, but what would be the best way to do that?
Yeah, there's a number of things. So you mentioned two things, is like what do they say and how to make those connections. So in terms of what they would say, I always say just do it from a conversational standpoint. What we've been taught is to have this framework, but when you're in conversation, you don't use that framework. The framework comes in when you need to put that in copy, in marketing. It works. But when you're in a conversation with somebody, it's just fun. You lead by who you are. I'll say, Dawn, I'm a HR consultant and a global trainer, and I work with companies who really want to exceed their operational targets. And I do that through teaching and training their staff, upskilling them to a level that gets them that competitive edge. So it's more conversational rather than, my name is Michelle Raymond. I work with the. Do you understand?
Yeah,
so I would say what people need to do is just be in conversation, be in flow. You know what you do. And no one else can say it better than you do. And I would say, as long as it's not unambiguous, not too wordy, not too, too many of the long words, just be in conversation with somebody. That's the first thing. And for somebody who is not, let's say, an extrovert, or somebody who might have a more quieter demeanor, might be introverted, they can still network, and they actually I would probably argue and go as far to say that I think they make better relationship builders, because they tend to be better listeners.
Yeah.
And they tend to be, and more often than not, they are audible.
Yeah.
I would say I'm very visual. I use my hands a lot. I talk a lot. But introverts or more quieter people, they tend to be more audible. So they like to listen. They just tend to be more kinesthetic. So they like to feel. And when you're talking to somebody, people love the fact that they are listened to.
Yeah,
and so that makes them really great at building relationships. So I will lean into what my natural strengths are, whether it's to be quieter, to be more of a listener, more of a person that gives you space to be, or lean in if you're more of that person who likes to take up room, whatever it may be, lean into it, as long as the other people are respected and they feel like they're being listened to as well. I think that's important.
Cool. That's really good advice. So, we're going to learn about risk and reputation. So I'm really interested in the word risk, because are you talking about risk for you as an entrepreneur? Or are you talking about the risk for the people that may have your services? I know from my nursing days, I was about risk and compliance, about reputational risk, which also combines both of those two words. So, and I used to work with organizations around reputational damage, and how that could be managed and things like that. So when we talk about reputation and risk, we can take them separately or together, because they sort of are intertwined, aren't they? What do you mean by that, and how can that affect entrepreneurs getting lucrative corporate contracts?
Yeah, so if I was to take reputation first and foremost, as entrepreneurs, we are our brand, and reputation goes a long way. Reputation leads, it precedes you. So people hear about you before they even meet and see what you're really like. And what tends to happen is, it depends on how we show up online. It depends on our relationships with other people. They tell the story of you before you can even tell the story. So, that's why I always say to people, be your own brand and tell your story rather than let other people tell your story, because they'll never tell it the way you want it to be understood. And so with reputation, it's about understanding, how do I show up online or offline? What's the reputation I have? What do people think of me before I even enter a room? What do people think about me before I even open my mouth? And yesterday is a prime example of this. I was in East London, in England, and I went to a function, and I came back and I was walking back to my car, and I heard somebody say, "Oh, excuse me, are you Michelle?" And I turned around and I saw this guy standing there, and he said to me, "Sorry to disturb you, but is your name Michelle?" So I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Michelle Raymond?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Oh my gosh, I've heard a lot about you." Wow. And his words were, your reputation precedes you. So I was like, oh, I hope this is good. So I said, okay, so what have you heard? And he said, only good things. And he said somebody had told him about me, and he then checked me out on LinkedIn and Instagram. And he said he's been watching my videos, he's been following my content. And he had said to himself, if I get a chance to meet her, I really want to talk to her and just find out more about what she does and how I can serve her. This is reputation. So when now we've met, we were talking and we had a laugh. And even though I was in a rush, I was really in a rush. I gave him some time. And what he said to me, my God, you are just the same offline than you are as you are online. Once again, that's reputation. It's continuity. And this is what we as entrepreneurs have to really be mindful. What is our reputation saying about us? Do we show up one way here and another? Do we have a reputation of being, spoilt and ego-driven, diva-ish? Are we, what comes up for you? And sometimes if it's those types of stereotypes, let's call it, and you're happy with that, that's fine. If it's not, then you need to shift how you are seen. And if we see this for the corporate market now, the corporate market, you're coming into their world, it's something new to them. The first thing they're going to do is check you out. They want to see what's her reputation in the industry. How does she show up? What do people say about her? Then they'll go to your testimonials. They'll go onto your website. They want to read your case studies. Reputation plays a big part within this business sphere. So, and that's one of the things I have to make sure I'm maintaining. What do I want people to know me for? What reputation do I want to have? What do I want to have people say about me when I'm not in the room? Which leads into the risk. But yeah, I just wanted to share that bit with you before we move on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally get that. I had an inquiry a couple of days ago, and she said, "Oh, I Googled diversity and inclusion consultants, and you came up." And so then I looked at your website, and then I thought, "Oh yeah, you're a person I want to talk to." And I was like, great. But in my head, I was like, wow, those things are really important. Everything you've just said is really, really important, because, potentially I've got a client because they Googled me and saw my online presence and looked at all the socials and then thought, oh yeah, let's make a connection, and sort of, and then I was available to be connected with. So it was all part of the branding and the story, isn't it, really? But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So Michelle, risk.
Let's look at risk from the entrepreneur's perspective. And for me, I'm terming it as risk, but what I want you to think about, and I want your listeners and viewers to think about, is moving outside of your comfort zone and outside of your comfort bubble. Because what we tend to do is we're in the bubble and we just push it out a little bit, but we're still inside. And we might go for a contract that might be just 5K more than I usually get, and you push it out a bit. But actually taking the risk, and a calculated risk, is doing something that you would never have done before. And it's about applying to work or to do contracts for large organizations. And you might say, but Michelle, these large organizations, they're already sorted. They have people who are doing these things. Yes, they may have that, but you might come with a different perspective, a different alternative that they've not considered. And you're already just putting your feelers out there and getting your name just on the list of people. Oh, let's keep an eye on her. Let's take a look at her reputation. Let's take a look at her relationships. You're already putting yourself on the map. And this is what I want us to do. Us entrepreneurs, we're playing too small. And, they say that, there's the 1% of consultants or coaches that are making real money. They're consistently making over 100K a month, a year. And my thing is, to break that barrier is not that hard. It's really not that hard if we take more risks. And taking a calculated risk requires a mindset shift. You can't do it with your existing mindset. It wouldn't, because your mindset won't even allow you into that sphere. So it's about understanding, where do I want to be? It's understanding, what is my outcome? What is my big goal? For me is, I want to create a legacy-driven organization, company that my daughter can run after me. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm doing it. So how can I establish this as a sustainable business so that she doesn't need to worry about that we've got staff, she just needs to come in and take over. So what do I need to start doing now if I reverse engineering it? I have to get some larger corporate engagements. Then what does that look like? I have to build relationships with more senior people. So everything links back to each other, but we have to take risk, or otherwise we're always going to be living at that line and never going across. So you're always living from month to month, like you've just got enough. We shouldn't be living in just enough. We should be living in the land of abundance, because we have so much skills and expertise, so many talented people. When I have my coaching sessions and I sit and I listen, I'm thinking, these people are fantastic. Tell me why you're not making any money. Tell me why you are begging for pennies and you're trying to change the pennies into pounds. I don't get it. Tell me why you're scrimping and taking anything and you're saying yes to everything, but your bank balance still saying no. I don't get it. So this is why I want us to be brave enough and don't care about whatever people think about you. Is none of your business. None of your business. I show up online all the time, and I hear people say, Michelle, you're everywhere. Right. I want to be everywhere because the right people will see me eventually. I look at my posts. Sometimes I don't get engagement on my posts, but that's not where the money's at. The money's in my DMs. Yeah. So I don't look at the vanity metrics. Oh my God, I've only got like 600 views. And last week I only had 20 views, because the money is in the DMs. The money is in the messages. The cash is in your conversations. So all I need to do is have conversations with people. And sometimes it's risky. I sent a message out to, she is one of the directors of Facebook. Mm-hmm. I sent her a message last week because I'm hoping to put on an event where to invite her. And I took a risk, but if I don't ask, I don't get. But she said, let's have a conversation next week, Wednesday, on Zoom. If I didn't take that risk, I wouldn't be having that conversation next week. This is what we need to do. We need more of it.
I'm so loving this, Michelle. It's so true. You sort of have to put yourself out there, and I know you're a visibility specialist as well. And it's so true that that it doesn't matter about the vanity metrics at all. That it's about the messages are in the DMs. And I know this from personal experience. Like, I have been on television, and yes, I have written newspaper articles. I have got work because of posts that I put out about nothing, just about, going about my day, sort of like, and people connect with you around that. And so going back to your earlier thing about the relationship building and the it's in the conversation. I love your phrase, the cash is in the conversation. Might have to borrow that. That's where it is. It's sort of like, it's what you do with when people connect with you, when things resonate with you, isn't it? Really. But I'm going to sort of like say that people sort of almost need to be shown that. So, and I know this is some of the work that you do, and you've been talking about, so about coaching people about what is possible, and and I think you embody it. You lead the way and show the example around how they can do that. And I know sort of the work you're doing around lucrative contracts is around that you're doing it, so it's possible to do. People can see that, can't they? and that you coach them about how, you know, they can do it too. And then you also, as part of that, you sort of like saying, you know, I can do it too. I can do it so well. I've got too much of it. So, you know, then maybe I can, you know, pass that on to you, which is all about the relationships and the risk so you actually give people an opportunity to actually take that next step around doing that, support them to do that. So that's really, really good. So you're doing an event, you know, you've done, you know, masterclasses before, haven't you? And I've been to them, they're really, really good. So you're doing an event in a couple of weeks. So you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'm doing another masterclass. It's one I've done before, but each time I do it, because I've learned more since then, and I want to share more of that information with people who are attending. So it's on the 27th of October, and it's called Securing Corporate Contracts, the Masterclass. And it's literally looking at ways that you can source and then ways that you secure. So in terms of sourcing, where do you look for these corporate contracts? And we don't understand that they are already in our network, but we just don't know how to access it. So I want to share some creative ways with you on how you can access that. And then it's in terms of the securing now, it's what do we say in the conversations? And this is what I was saying before, like the conversations are in the cash. What do I say? When should I say it? How do I say it? Do I talk too much? Should I let them? Do I ask questions? So I'm putting together like a conversation framework that you can just run with. You can use it as a script. You can change it to suit yourselves, but it's going to really be helpful. As well as I'm going to provide people with a real life call that I had with a real life corporate that I was able to record. And I then did an analysis of that. And then you can see where I talk too much. You can see where I ask the right questions, and you can see the process. And at the end result is I did get that contract. So, and you know, it took 2 or 3 conversations to be had, which is fine. And so we're going to be talking about that in the masterclass. And the last half of the masterclass, we just want to do as implementation. So we're actually going to do the work. So if people have proposals, we're going to help them with their proposals on that. I want to help people in terms of the conversation. So we're going to be having role play where myself and my business partner, Adrian, can pick at it, take out the best bits, tell you what to leave behind. So I want, and everything will be recorded. So you've got that data that you can refer to as well. And I'm going to be sharing the names of some companies that I know right now are looking for externals. I can give you the company details, and we can look at ways of who to connect depending on your area of expertise. Because people always think it's HR. It's not always HR.
It's not HR.
It's not. In fact, really, HR is very rarely, and probably HR in smaller companies, but medium size, it's not. It's not. It's the want to go to the cost centers. So it's the heads of a certain department. Those are the people you want to go to. So we're going to look at that so that you're directing your attention to the people that have the money and make the decision.
And there's I will put a link to this event in the show notes. It's on the 27th of October, and we're recording this in October 2021. But you can go on Michelle's website later, and we'll talk about that later as well. So we'll put a link to that as well. I wanted to talk about books that have helped you. And I know that you told me about books in our sessions, and I'm going to go buy them. So I wanted you to talk to me about a couple of books that have been helpful for you, because I think book recommendation. I mean, I love books anyway. Buy them. Got bookcase, love it. But I think sort of things that can help, as well as coaching and masterclasses. It's really good to sort of get some idea about some of the things you want to do.
Yeah, all the time. I'm a bookworm. I tend to have I'm just surrounded by books as we're sitting here. But the two that I want to bring to your attention, this is specifically for women, but I think men could get value out of it as well. It's called "We Should All Be Millionaires" by Rachel Rogers. And you might just see the title there.
I can see it.
And it's a brilliant read. Rachel Rogers was a lawyer doing really well, but she just found that her income level was limited and she had much higher earning potential. And she talks a lot about Black women and how their earning potential is being capped, and what do you need to do to get out of it. And she believes that we all should be millionaires. And her take on that, the mindset around it, is such a shift. I would encourage everyone to get the Audible as well. So when you're driving your car, you can have it. I drive my daughter to school every morning, and it takes about 40 minutes. And I just have this playing in the background, and it's dropping into her spirit. I know it's dropping into, and she pretends that she's not listening, but when we get home, she's talking to me about mindset work. She's talking to me about thought work, and it's all in the book. And so I know she's picking it up. So that's a really brilliant read. The other one, it's getting a bit tatty because I've gone through it so often. This is the 10X rule. And it's by Grant Cardone. Now, many people know Grant Cardone because his brand is called the 10X. And he runs a number of events. He does masterclasses. Yeah, he's a like him or hate him type of person.
Right, okay.
And I'm always about just take the bits you like, forget the bits you don't. And his book is talking about the only difference between success and failure is the 10X. And this is where I was talking about think big, do big, go big or go home.
Go large, yeah.
Talks about this. And the great thing with this book, he's got examples, and then he has like exercises in there where you write down an example of the shortages of success that you've seen. Because we talk about visualization, we talk about things that we see. And I always believe, and my mentor is forever telling me, if I want to achieve a particular outcome, I have to see it in my mind and I have to see it in my hands. Absolutely. And that's what I have to do. So I have to see it in my hand. So I have to write, and you can't see it right now, but I've got posters in my front room, and my mum dislikes me having posters all over my front room. But I have to see it. So if I want to be a millionaire, I have to say I will be a millionaire in 12 months. I have to see it written, and then I have to see it in my mind. I need to see, what does a millionaire look like? What does a millionaire say? What does a millionaire, what does she sound like? Where does she shop? Who does she talk to? So this is why I'm already speaking to millionaires, because I need to hear the language. My language pattern has to change.
Yes, that is so true. That is so true.
Oh, you can't be saying, oh God, I got no money. How many times do we say, oh God, I got no money today? What have you told yourself? You're telling yourself you have no money. Yeah. And your mind will start to believe, I have no money. Then you start acting like you have no money. You walk like you have no money. So we have to be careful of what we say, what we tell ourselves, and we have to eat the right words. And I'm very careful about what I listen to and what I hear all the time. I don't want to hear gossip, because then you don't like someone, you tell me I don't like them either. It happens. Yeah. But if I'm around people who are looking at ways to strategize, to grow, to help the community, I then start thinking and generating ideas how I can do the same. We've got to be better. We've got to do better.
I love that. I was talking to someone yesterday, actually, we both know this person, and they said the same thing. They said, the mind doesn't care what you tell, they'll believe it. So if you say it, your mind will believe it. And I was like, this is so wise. It's so true. It's so true. So if you tell your mind, if you say it out loud, it will believe it.
You know, Dawn, I'm going to be a millionaire, and so will you. I said to myself, I'm going to be a millionaire in 12 months. Let's say 12 months come, I'm not that millionaire that I thought. Am I going to be disappointed? I said, I'm not going to be disappointed, because I know where I am in respect to that million. I'll keep working towards it. Yeah. So it will happen.
And I really believe that, it's like, I said I was going to have my own business when I was still working in the NHS, and I have got my own business. I said I wanted a podcast. and I've got one, and you just have to say it. And then, people scoff at that, but you start doing the things that make that happen because you've set that intention that's going to happen. And even if you're not quite there yet, you're on your way there. And it's that, depending on how you, like with the millionaire thing, there's lots of different, I heard someone on a podcast yesterday saying it depends on your definition of what a millionaire is, isn't it? Really?
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's different things to different people, isn't it? As well. So this podcast and the show is around the health and well-being of entrepreneurs, sort of like giving people support and advice, and talking about how people maintain their own health and well-being, how they remain focused, positive and productive. And the reason I sort of because I sort of honed in on that, A, because I'm a nurse, and B, I recognize that leaders, so I recognize this in myself when I was working in corporate in the NHS, and as a business owner, you can't be quite driven to your aims and your objectives. Quite, I have, I always worked hard, but I've never worked so hard as I have when I'm having my own business, doing 18-hour days, not sleeping. So I talk to all my guests about how do they maintain their health and well-being, how do they make sure that they don't get burnt out, and what advice can they give our listeners and our audience.
Love that. I love that. And just listening to you now, it's just making me think of like so much things in terms of what we're talking about, and how can we as humans do better? How can we do better? And I think you doing podcasts like this you're just sending the message out. You're sending the message out to more people. I know that you're doing lots of work around your networking, and which for me is close to my heart, because I believe in networking and relationship building, and in terms of the well-being, in terms of the well-being and working those long hours. Someone said to me one day, Michelle, I really want to, she said, oh, Michelle, I really want to run my own business. So I said, are you ready to run your own business? And she goes, what do you mean? I said, you're looking at the commodity side of running a business, but are you ready to give up sometimes on sleep sometimes for the business? Are you ready for people to say negative things about you? All of these things will start to impact your health. And she said, God, I didn't think about it like that. And I more recently just thought to myself, at the beginning, that's what I was doing. I was burning myself out all the time, Dawn. Staying up late, waking up early, responding to people. And from about 3-4 weeks now, I've been taking Fridays off. So I work in the mornings up until 12:31, and that's it. No emails. I put my out of office on, and I go for afternoon tea. So I've been going for afternoon tea for the last 3 weeks. Ooh. I need to bring some more money in because it's starting to cost me. And this is what I do. I want to bring money in so that I can enjoy it and have afternoon tea. Yeah. And this is me saying, well done for all week, working so hard. Who can you go out with? Or if I want to go shopping with my mum, or just want to chill out. So that's how I'm now managing my time. And in terms of, and what I've stopped doing now is stop responding to people straight away on my text messages, on my emails, on my DMs, because that's what I tend to do. And context switching is not good for your mental well-being. So you'll be doing something pops up, you go over there, you answer them, something up, and then context switching is not good for you. So what I tend to do now, if I'm doing something pops up, I'll have to wait. Your priority shouldn't be my burden. And that's how I say it.
Like that.
Just because you've got something urgent, it doesn't mean it makes it my urgent. And just because people can't time manage themselves doesn't mean I shouldn't. So now, and it's a post I put out today actually, is your priority is not going to be my burden. So which means I'm not rushing around trying to answer your calls, your text messages. You wait until when I finish dealing with my priority. And I've told people, don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. If you've got a rush, you're on a deadline, I need to finish this, that's because you didn't manage your time. It shouldn't become my burden. And this is how we sometimes have to be selfish and put ourselves first and not always be running after other people.
Yeah, I think it's so true, because I know, particularly with the sleep thing and, you know, the potential for burning out, you can't help people if you're not in a place to do that. And you don't want to be, you want to give your, you know, be present. Now, at the beginning, we talked about conversations and being present. And you can only do that when your health and well-being is good, and you're not worried about, oh, I've got this deadline, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And compartmentalizing is so important, isn't it? Around, you know, I was on an event and I was speaking to a productivity coach, and they were saying multitasking is rubbish because the actual effectiveness actually reduces to make it not worth it. So you need to really think about, you know, what have you got to do, what's the time to do it, and compartmentalize it. But I do struggle with that. But I think that's part of the discipline of being a business owner, because, you know, when you're at work, you've got the work objectives to do, and that guides you. And as long as you do that, you know, you're going to get paid, aren't you? But with it being a business, you have to manage those relationships. You have to look at those prospects. You have to respond, but you also have to be boundaried about doing that. So I think the thing around networking, building relationships is cool, you know, be present and stuff like that, but you also need to be boundaried about that, and people need to know that, you know, you're a human being that needs to sleep, and, you know, that it might be on a different time zone than you are. And so how does that go? And like you said, it doesn't mean they don't like you. It just means that, you know, I've spoken to someone who was on the podcast, and they were saying, if I don't get back to you, it doesn't mean I've forgotten you. It means that I'm getting to it, and, you know, so, you know, you shouldn't worry. And I think as long as you're upfront about that, and I really like that, because I now think, so when you are, people are expecting stuff from you, if you say, I haven't forgotten, you know, it's just that I've got to concentrate on this now, that's okay. As long as you explain what's happening to maintain the relationship and to prevent that feeling, oh, she's forgot, you know, I haven't forgot, I never forget, you know. So that it's around that, and to then, and I know with me it's a bit anxiety provoking, thinking, oh, what they're thinking, but it's around actually articulating what's going on for you, particularly if you're a solopreneur, a one-man band, and you're running stuff, you know, it's just about explaining what your situation is.
Yeah, definitely. And I like that. And it's managing people's expectations, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just letting people just be aware that you'll get back to them, and people appreciate that. And then they'll feel less likely to be pushing, you know, to get a response. So I like that, and I like that. I think you said you saw it on somebody else's podcast.
Yes. Well, somebody talking on my podcast. It's not out yet, but yes, they spoke about that. So you've got a gift to offer people as well. Do you want to tell us about that, Michelle?
Yeah, on my website, which Dawn will share, Michelle, it's easy, michelleRaymond.co.uk. On that, on the homepage, if you scroll down, I've got a free gift for everybody. It's called the Personal Mastery Blueprint, and it's helping individuals roadmap their personal success. So I talk about clarity, I talk about communication, I talk about people, and it's talking about identifying your non-negotiables, what I'm not going to change, I'm not willing to compromise on. But you will have to have that non-negotiables. And it's about getting clarity on what you really want. You may think it's easy, but not many people have that true clarity. Once you have the clarity, everything shifts. Everything shifts for you. You know exactly where you're heading. Then you set your mindset to go there. So clarity, so he talks about clarity, and I've got some tips there on how to prepare and how to nurture your mindset and to be ready for this new normal, whatever this new normal is. So feel free to just drop your details in, download that. There's a bit of exercises in there as well, talking about your network, how they're divided up, how much time you're spending with one. And it's a really good self-reflective exercise that I think everyone should do.
That's brilliant, and really related to what we've just been talking about as well, isn't it? Around, if you're really clear about what you want to achieve, that makes the other stuff, the boundaries, the relationships, and how you put yourself out there, that makes that a lot clearer, doesn't it? And you mentioned the website, but how else can people? I know that you're a social media queen. That's how I met you. How can people connect and contact you? Think about working with you. I know we've got other offer of the masterclasses coming up soon. But if people are listening to this later, where's best to get in touch with you, Michelle?
Yeah. The best place is definitely LinkedIn or Instagram, and they can contact me there. I'm on as Michelle Raymond, and you'll be able to see me. I have this same look in all my pictures. And they can contact me there, and feel free to send me a DM. Don't feel like I just want to connect. Real connection is sending a message and seeing how somebody is, asking a question. So feel free to do that with me, and you'll get a response from me, not an automated chatbot, but from me. And that's key as well. That's a different story, but
that's a different story. Yeah, I can't deal with that. Chatbots, no. But I know people are very busy.
It's never purpose, but in building that relationship, it doesn't do anything.
No, it doesn't. And so we're coming to the end of the show. This has been wonderful. Viewers hopefully won't know this, but we had a bit of a sort of like, IT malfunction in the middle of it, which and hopefully smoothly, you won't know anything about that, but I've told you anyways, but we carried on professionally regardless, and the show went on. So it's been marvellous, and thanks for your patience around that. So as we sort of close out, is there one bit of advice or a tip that you want to share with the audience before we go?
Yeah, I think this is a tip that I tend to share often, is we can't make an impact in life. No, let me reword that. We can't make an impact in the world if we're tiptoeing through life.
Oh, love it.
And that sits with me and resonates daily. I'm always saying, I want to do this in the world. I want to make this world a better place. But yet, if I look at my daily actions, I'm just tiptoeing. I'm not even showing up. I'm not showing up as my best self. I'm not taking risks. So how can I make an impact in the world if I'm only tiptoeing through life? So yeah, that's something that I want everyone to reflect on. Mm-hmm. How are you showing up in life, let alone how you're showing up in the world? Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's golden nugget there. And something definitely to think about, and especially in sort of like your daily actions and your reflections and how you go through the day. And I think, if you going back to what you were saying about being clear and strategizing about what you want to do in the world, I think that makes that a little easier, doesn't it? So you can be guided by that, a framework for that. So thank you so much, Michelle. It's been an absolute pleasure. And that's it for the Dawn Jarvis Show today. Thanks for being with us. And we'll see you soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Dawn Jarvis Show. If you enjoyed this episode, there are 2 things you can do. Number 1, leave Dawn a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. It would mean so much to her if you took a moment out of your time to post your thoughts on the show. It will help Dawn reach so many more people and help them with their well-being. Number 2, subscribe to Dawn's email list, the Diverse Nurse Digest, using the link in the show notes. Until the next time, thank you and goodbye.